This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Hey everyone, I'm Ace of Clay. I'm a sculptor, and almost every week I make a new sculpture. Today I'm sculpting Jim Carrey's version of The Grinch from 2000. Now I remember the first time I saw this movie, I didn't like it because I was little. I was like 7 or 8 and I just didn't get it, but every time that I've watched it as an adult, it's absolutely hilarious. Jim Carrey is a genius in it, and if you haven't seen it, definitely go give it a watch. And before we get started, don't forget to grab your face hugger holiday hellion. This superposable guy is available right now at aceofclay.com, and his head turns. He's awesome quality, everything has been embroidered, and I actually anticipate this guy selling out before Christmas, so if you want to grab one, make sure you do that as soon as possible. December 18th is the cutoff for things to arrive in time for the holidays, so if you want one, head on over to aceofclay.com. And now without further ado, let's sculpt the Grinch.
Alright, this is the pose I'm going for right here, nice and dynamic. Now let's get started with the armature. I've got some 10 gauge aluminum wire here, and I'm going to shape out one half of the Grinch and then create the other one by mirroring this one. Then I'm going to wrap these two sides and his neck together with some 16 gauge wire. Then we're going to brush on some Bacon Bond and bulk out the torso with some Super Sculpey Ultralight. This step can also be done with aluminum foil, but I prefer the Ultralight because it gives me more control. Now I just want to get him as close as possible to his final positioning, just because once the clay is hardened, I don't want to disturb it by bending the armature too much. Now let's bake that, and then once it's baked and cooled down, we're going to cover it in our final layer of clay. This is Super Sculpey Original. I want to get a nice even sheet over that Ultralight and then start creating the legs. Before you add clay to this wire, just like with the Ultralight, you want to brush on some Bacon Bond so it sticks nicely. And we're just going to blend some things together with my Super Poker and spoon tool. Now let's get his other leg finished. And I do sell the Super Poker on my website, aceofclay.com, if you want to grab one, along with these wooden bases with or without pre-drilled holes and the armature wire that I'm using. Now using the pointy end of my Super Poker, we're going to add a nice fur texture all over his bottom half. Once his bottom half is done, we can start working on his Santa suit. I'm going to make this out of cosclay so that it stays flexible after it's baked, and we're just going to form this around the lower half of his body. I want to position it so it looks like it's falling and scrunching into his pose naturally. I don't want it to look forced or overstretched or anything. Just want to make it look natural. So we're taking our time and we're making sure everything makes sense. Now I'm going to add his large black belt just in the areas where it is peeking out. Once the belt's on, we're just going to fidget with things a little bit and smooth things out, and then work our way onto the trim. For the trim, I'm using a flattened snake of clay, just adding it around that bottom edge of his coat there, and then we're going to texture it with our Super Poker. Using small circular motions, I'm creating the fluffy texture on the trim. For the upper half of his jacket, we've got some more cosclay that I've pre-folded to sort of fit into his hunched over position, and we're going to blend that in and add the trim up the center. Now let's get that textured too. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Let's move on to the next step, which will be to add some folds and wrinkles to his shoulders. Now before I save my progress and pre-bake this guy, I'm going to dab on some Bacon Bond to give a nice sort of plush fabric texture to the coat. All right, time for the oven. All right, once that's baked and cooled down, it's time to start working on the arms. Because I pre-baked, I don't have to worry about smashing any of my progress. When I do my pre-bakes, if you're wondering, I bake for the full time and temperature that is on the box from the manufacturer. And I do not underbake or anything like that. And then I think the most bakes I've ever done on a single sculpt is 5 or 6. Now, because these got some long, skinny fingers, I'm going to make his hands out of cosplay so they stay flexible. And we're going to attach each finger one at a time. This is the hand that's going to be dangling an ornament, so I want to make sure that the thumb and index finger look nice and natural when they are pressed together. Now onto the other hand. And let's finish off the sleeves with some more trim. Now let's take a break from the body and work on his head. I'm sculpting this out of some Super Sculpey Living Doll. Covered a ball of aluminum foil in my clay, gouged out the eye sockets, and I'm just going to add the mouth just for reference at this point. For the eyes, I'm adding little balls into the eye sockets and then shaping them out with my spoon tool, and then we will add eyelids later on. Now for his iconic Who-shaped nose area, we're just adding this mound of clay, blending it in, and then making sure it's the correct shape before we start detailing it.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break from our video to talk about our sponsor, Squarespace. Now, I have been using Squarespace for almost 6 years now, even before they started sponsoring me, and I could not be happier with my experience. When you have a business like me or a portfolio, you've gotta have a website, and Squarespace takes all of the guesswork out when it comes to building one. It's easy, straightforward, the options are virtually endless, and they give you all the tools you need to succeed. I love the flexible website templates. I'm honestly updating my website at least once a week, and it could not be easier. All of the templates are professionally designed and have options for every use and category. You can customize your look, effortlessly update content, and add all the features to fit your needs. You can transform any template into your own to really stand out online or on any device. I also love how easy it is to have an online store with them. I can beautifully showcase all of my products so they stand out with images, videos, reviews, related products, add-ons, and more. The Squarespace commerce platform makes managing everything from inventory to sales and customers simple. You can even print shipping labels through Squarespace like I do to save time while fulfilling orders. And just recently, they've introduced Design Intelligence. This combines 2 decades of industry-leading design with cutting-edge AI technology to unlock your strongest creative potential. So what are you waiting for? Don't put off making that website any longer. Trust me when I tell you, Squarespace will have your back every step of the way. And you won't believe how easy it is to do, and it's gonna look awesome. Head on over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, tell them Ace of Clay sent you by going to squarespace.com/aceofclay. This will get you 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
All right, now let's continue the face with his brow bone. Now let's add his chin. He's got these really distinct smile lines on either side of his face, or you want to call them wrinkles, I don't know, but He's got like 3 of them on either side, and this is what really makes him start looking like the Grinch. So I'm just adding these thin snakes of clay, getting them into the right position, and then I'm blending them in with a couple different tools. Using my cone shaper tool, I'm going to press in some frown lines and forehead wrinkles. And then I just roughly popped on his nose just to see how it's going to look. All right, now let's finish up his nose with some nostrils. Using the large end of my super poker, I'm going to shape out the bottom half of his face a little bit more. Now we got to give him a little bottom lip. To finish off his body, I'm going to dab on some more Bacon Bond to blend that uncured clay into the rest of his body. And I can't forget the trim around his neck. Let's see what he looks like with his head on. Not too bad. Let's make his feet or his shoes out of some cosplay. Get those on. And finish him off with some more trim. And a tiny little bell or pom-pom at the tip. And I just want to fill that extra hole on my wooden base because I'm only using one of them. And it's like it was never there. Now I'm going to brush some clay softener on his face just to smooth things out and get rid of any fingerprints, and we're going to bake him. And once he's baked and cooled down, we're going to add his hat. And yes, some more trim. Can't forget the pom-pom. Now for some more Bacon Bond like the rest of his outfit, and we'll bake him. And once he's baked and cooled down, it's time for paint. I'm starting with all of the white areas on his outfit. Halfway into this, I realized airbrushing the white areas would have been much faster. Now we're going to start his face with this medium green tone here. And when I say medium tone, it is basically just a color that is in between the other 2 colors that I will be using for shadows and highlights. So I'm starting with the middle tone, and then we are going to be able to darken that and highlight it. And here's the darker color on his face right here. We're just using some watered down darker green, getting it into all of the wrinkles on his face. And then I lightened the medium green tone with some more yellow, and we were dry brushing that on the surface to highlight him. Using a tiny paintbrush, let's paint his eyes yellow. And let's carefully add the pupils. For an added detail, we're going to add his eyelashes with some black. Now I just want to highlight the rest of his fur with some more of that bright yellow green. And let's highlight his face a little bit more. Now for the red on his jacket, I used some just pure bright red and mixed some green in with it to get this nice deep red color. And I forgot to record when I was sculpting the bauble, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Now we're just highlighting the coat with some brighter red, painting the shoes. And then I'm going to add a brown wash to all of the white areas so they're not so stark. His Santa suit is kind of dirty, so we're going to reflect that. Now let's get the black on his belt. Now once all my paint is dry, the final step is to add some real fur. I've got this yarn here that I am separating, and I'm going to brush it out with a cat brush, and then we are going to glue it on with some Fabri-Tac. Fabri-Tac is the best glue to glue fabric and fibers to cured polymer clay. They're not paying me to say this or anything, I just love their product. Now I'm just going to separate some pieces with a toothpick really quick and then give them a nice haircut. When you're cutting fibers like this, you want to make sure you have really nice and sharp scissors. And of course, I gave him some real eyebrows too. These are going to poke out nicely under his hat. Now I'm going to attach his head one final time with some super glue and his hat. And I just want to add a couple wisps of hair here and there on his body. And then we're going to glue on his ornament. Make sure everything's looking good. Paint that super smooth Ace of Clay base. Mike could never. All right, there we go. Say it with me.
And he's done! My sculpture of Jim Carrey's Grinch is complete. Let me know how you think I did in the comments. I'm really happy with this sculpture. I think he looks really cool. I think I did him justice. I like the pose. I was just gonna do him in like a regular standing pose with like his hand on his hip or something, but this one is way more dynamic and interesting. So I really hope you enjoyed watching me make him. And as always, thank you so much for watching and being here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok at Ace of Clay. Don't forget to grab your holiday hellion at aceofclay.com. Join my Facebook group, Snakes of Clay, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.